And no, not using my great camera, but you see I got a box in there for the tensioner spacer for the moment. That's kind of what it'll look like, basically. So, got the motors mounted, got the front wheels mounted. We have a cardboard box for a tensioner on that rear drive or rear axle. Still need to be pulled a little tighter, but just so you can see what it's kind of going to look like. Obviously it's not straight either. It should be kicked over like that. Still wondering, I think it might be too long. Haven't made up my mind yet. Alright, so we've already seen I got the motor and the drive wheels connected. I just moved the camera. There we go. So those are there, ready to be wired into the controller. We were working on this tensioner. Yes, these are way too long. I didn't want to cut them until I had a little bit better of an idea of how much to cut them. So what I did is I got some all-thread rod. Obviously I printed this piece out. They just shoved in the holes I just drilled. But printed this out using the Creality CR-6 SE. I am on the community firmware, the trial version 6. I think it's pre-release 4. I know there's a ton of contributors, a ton of testers. Sebastian's the only one that I know his name on there. It's all over GitHub. It's on Facebook. I'll post a little video, I don't know, probably after this one, or tied into this one. These are 16 millimeter gaps that I printed. That bridge, can't see it on here as well. Hopefully in my other video while I was actually printing it, I did no supports, none whatsoever. And not a stringle hair, no cleanup, no nothing. And now it looks like there's a line there. Oh, that line is when I printed this. Went from the square to where I did the round, rounded over. And the line you're seeing there is a reflection off the metal. Maybe from here, yeah. I mean, this is like a perfect print. But anyway, off the firmware and onto the track to what we're doing. So basically, I lined it up, put the edges together here and here. And that's where the rear wheel is going to go. Then I lined up where I thought the holes are going to be. You should be able to see my little black dots. And then I drilled them. These will have to be cut way down, obviously. There we go. But these will be cut probably like right in here. And then this nut here will actually push against this and push that away. So as it pushes it away, it'll tighten the track up. This is one of the rear wheels. We'll get you out here. The other thing I have to actually is find out how long these have to be and how long this shaft has to be. So this will be out here. It's actually going to have to be out a little bit further. I need to line it up with that drive wheel all the way down there. And I need to cut these because they're just way too big. But anyway, I got these little pointy cones. They'll go on the ends here. They'll actually be liquid glued on. That'll be the hub that holds the wheel on. So that's basically what you'll see, and then the track around this. But I need to figure out the space on this side, how far from this edge over. And it doesn't look like very much, like maybe a ½ inch. No, ½ inch. I'll get my calipers out and get it right. I need to print this one out for this side, and then get the other wheel on. Need to get these cut. Need to get these drilled deeper. They're only about an inch deep at the moment. I just kind of want to do a little test fit, see how well it lined up, and lining up quite well. The little slots I printed into this and put the nuts on the inside, those will be Loctited. Those will never move. I was going to put a bolt in, but then I'd have to cut this and that would weaken it. And I printed it at 50% infill, so it's PLA, but 50% infill. If anything's going to break, this will. This polycarbonate is not going to break. But I can reprint that. It actually only took about 4.5 hours to print this, and there'll be 2 of them. And then this nut, there'll be another washer that pushes against the polycarbonate, and then this nut will push against that washer that pushes against this. With the tracker on the wheel, it'll separate them. And there's 2 of them, so on each one, there's going to be 4 total. But 4 on this, so that should keep it straight, as long as I keep the nuts together, obviously. And then once we get those on, we get the track tensioned. Then we can start putting the idler wheels in and doing how high up or how low they're going to be from this. Need to get these cut. That's just throwing things way off, because it's really going to be like way down here. I'm guesstimating about that height, roughly. It's about where I'm guesstimating it's going to be. This should come out pretty damn good. Still have no idea what I'm doing for the box or anything. It's running on bearings. This doesn't move. I actually did put a hole in here. I contemplated drilling it, putting a little pin in it. But if this cap and this spacer are on there and they're hitting the bearings, it shouldn't be an issue. I just need to make sure I get I can't move it. Let me get that off. But as long as there's a little spacer in here that's touching that bearing and keeping this from rubbing on the wheel itself, it's like here, it's rubbing on it. If it's rubbing, that's not going to work. It has to run on the bearings. So there's a little spacer that has to go in there. Actually, I do have it. It's right here. There. And that should keep it from pressing on it. And then that little cone can go on there. More or less. The cone will be glued to the rod, the shaft, the axle. That little spacer will just be between the wheel and it. It won't be attached. They'll just be kind of floating there so nothing rubs. We should be good. Now we got some cutting to do. Oop, missed the hole. We're getting there. It's slow because I'm printing it as I go, and these take about 4.5-ish hours. The other one's in mid-print. While it's printing, I'm going to cut these. I think I'm going to cut them long and just have the shaft sticking into the polycarbonate. Plus that way anything that's in there kind of helps stabilize it too, instead of just having a little nub here at the end. If it's in there 2-3 inches, just kind of gives it a little bit more flex this way. Contemplating, I don't know yet, but if there's I might print a thing that goes over this on both sides, and then it's kind of like a little square. I don't know. I think the 2 shafts should be enough. They're 5/16 all thread. They're not stainless or rock weld or anything like that. And we're only talking, tracks made out of PLA and paper clips. So it's not like, it's not going to be holding, a few hundred pounds by any means. yeah, I definitely think this is going to work. And I'm thought about drilling a hole here and here and putting a nut on this end. I don't know. I don't know what that would really serve a purpose. Like I did up here, so hold on to this. And then the track itself is going to be pulling that to us. And it's going to be pushing against the track. So that's going to hold it in here. Guess we're just going to see it because, like I said, I'm printing it as I go. At the end of all this, I'll show you my Tinkercad files and my SCAD files and the diagrams I came up with. The gist of the tracks and the what do you want to call it? The formation of the wheels for the tracks all came from RC Test Flight. He changed and went off onto another one. I think he's even doing a Kickstarter now where he's printing tracks, and which is great. I mean, you know, but this is kind of started off with his base idea, and then obviously I've changed everything. You know, did my own concept of his base point. I don't know where he started from. I'm sure he saw it somewhere. I think he started with a snowcat. He was out skiing or something, if I remember right. I could be wrong. Who knows where he got his ideas. Mine just kind of happened. Yeah, I think this is going to work good. That's it for now. Okay, so I'm on the Creality community firmware. I shouldn't say Creality. But it's version 6, part 4, something like that. I'm not going to mess with it because, damn, my bridging, that's about a 16 millimeter gap, and it bridged, you can see that, perfectly. One in the back as well. At about a 16 millimeter wide gap, no supports of any kind, and it bridged perfectly. I mean, other than adding the big 40 millimeter fan on the side and the blower with the circle around it, you've seen my other videos. Trying to get where you can see this. There we go. There's the bridge, and it is like fucking A. I mean, it's always printed well for me. I know some people have issues with the Creality CR-6 SE. I've never really had issues. I mean, usually I'd have some strings hanging down in a gap like that, and I'd just clean them out, you know, no big deal. But this one, there's no string in. And if you remember on my previous prints, I had all those silly little hairs when I printed stuff. Hairs are gone. And this is just the version 6 part 4 stock, if you want to call it that, stock Creality or stock community firmware. I did do the bed leveling, obviously. I did the PID steps, I did the E steps, you know, I did all of that. I didn't do anything else. And it's printing really nice. And of course I'm always using ZYL Tech filament. That's all I use on all my printers. So the filament brand and type never changes for me. It's just a constant, always the same. But I saw on Facebook another person had designed a new hot end cage box where the blower fan fits in it. It looks a little nicer than mine. I mean, mine's a little how you doing, but you know what? I'm happy with it. It's printing fucking fabulous. I mean, it's not that detailed, intricate of a print that I'm doing. It's just got 2 bridges that I really expected to have some hairs in there and, you know, stringing, and have to clean it out. Good grief, I got a mess of stuff. Well, like here, on my little bench, you can see there in the window, you can see there's some stringing hanging down. Yeah, you can see some stringing up there. Let me try this benchy. Oh, this is the shark one. He had a little support in there. Yeah, but you can see there's some stringing over there, and that's only 10 millimeters maybe? About a 10 millimeter gap. That's a 16 millimeter gap from here to here. No stringing on either one. No Z offset issues, no X or Y banding, no ringing, no banding. And I mean, it really is more or less stock. I mean, I changed the hot end and the fan on the side for the parts cooling. Obviously, parts cooling affects bridging. Oh yeah, there's a benchy up here. So you can see, hopefully in there, that stringing I'm talking about. Let me put my hand behind it. And that's half the size of the gap. I think this is like 8 or 10 millimeters. You can see that stringing in there. It's not bad. It can be easily cleaned out. Nobody'd ever know the difference. But it's there. On this one, it's not. So, I know Sebastian's one of them. I don't know the guy's last name. There's a bunch of other contributors, I'm sure, on the community firmware, and all the testers, of course. Thank you. Just thank you. And we have one track on. We have both the rear wheels and both tensioners on. It's not tensioned, obviously. Oh. How can I do this? I guess you can kind of see it that way. Of course, shiny gloss black on shiny gloss black is hard to see. There you can kind of see into that wheel. Now, this one I did flat. This one back here, as you can see, has a cone on it that's pointed. But I think I'm going to keep the front one smooth. I can always add that later. It's just a glue on. Yeah, 3D print it. Now we can measure out those idler wheels to go in here. Actually, I got to get the other track on it first. Now I'll get the other track on, put the idler wheels on, and measure the distance from the shaft up, and then tighten those nuts up so it spreads this apart, so it pulls this tight. We got quite a bit of slack in there yet. Nice. Okay, so this is not complete. This is just a test. I only have one in there. There's actually going to be two, one on each side and one on each side. That one's at 30 millimeters height. That one's at 40 millimeters height. Let's see if there's a... See if I can turn this sideways. This thing's big, just saying. But yeah, there would be one of these over here. It stops right about here, and then another one there. I only printed one out of each because they're not the right height. No point building it. Turning sideways. And obviously the tracks are not tight. I have them pretty loose. Make sure everything slides in until I get those actually in. Right now they're just setting there. But what I'll be doing is from the other side, put a screw into them. I'm also going to super glue them to the bottom. I wonder if I can tilt this so you can actually see. They're probably going to slide. Yep, they did. Again, They're not glued together yet because I don't have them all together. And dropped all my pieces. But anyway, now I know it's pretty much close enough to work. So I just got to print out another 30mm one for the back over here, and then another 40mm one over there. That one has a little white on it. I got like right to the end, and instead of opening a whole pack of black, I just switched to white. I just had one there that didn't have much left on it. It was a test, didn't know it was going to work. Looks like we're good. And of course you're looking at the bottom, it's upside down. So I'll print 2 more of them. We'll be back. So, haven't showed both the printers running in a while. I thought I'd just put it out there so we know they're working. My Chiron works. My CR-6 works. Printing the last 2 spacers, or axle risers, whatever you want to call these things. Of course, I grabbed the black one that doesn't show up for squat. But anyway, this is the shorter one, the 30mm one that goes in the back. Putting another one to go here on this end, and then the same thing on the other one, but it's a 40mm. I don't remember which one's printing which. I think the CR-6 is actually printing the bigger one. Chiron's printing the smaller one. So this is what's being printed over here. And yes, that one's over there in white. I just need to use up my filaments. I've got a bunch of these little rolls that have, I don't know, a couple 100 meters on them. So I'm just using them up since I'm home this weekend. I can sit here and babysit them. And use up these little rolls. Speaking of filament, ZYL-Tech, I think you can see down there. Actually, you can't see the brand, can you? Oh, here, hold on. Not that they're sponsoring me, although I would love that. I love their filament. Happen to have another one over here. So this is the brand I use on all my printers. This is white, obviously. 1 kilogram roll. If you want to see the label, if I can get it to focus. No, it's not. It's ceramic white, though. That's what's printing over there, is ceramic white. This over here is just the gloss black. I was using WZY Works or ZWY Works, which is a great filament as well. But I was ordering it off Amazon. I started ordering the ZYL-Tech because it was actually, at that particular time, it was like $1 or $2 less per roll. Not a huge deal, but you know, when you're 3D printing, every penny counts. I got to save up for my next printer, of course. Right now, though, with the shipping, because through Prime on Amazon it's free, but ZYL-Tech dropped their big shipment down from 10 rolls, so 5 white, 5 black is what I used to order, to where now I'm getting 4 white, 4 black, and I'm paying $10 more. Something to do with the shipping and taxes and tariffs that went into effect on January 1st, 2021. Yeah, so I'm getting 2 rolls less and paying $10 more per shipment. I don't think that's right. And since then, I have not gone back to Amazon and looked at the other filament brand. Quite honestly, using the same filament, same brand on all my printers, all my profiles are just set the same. So far, and it's been a good 1.5 years, I've been using this filament. I've never had to adjust any of my profile settings. They have been very, very consistent. I have no complaints about the filament itself and how it prints. I even got some of their blue, well, you can see it on my CR-X. CRE, the blue filament crystal over there that I have. And I did some gunmetal black. Well, if you look back through my videos, you'll see all of their stuff just prints. Oh yeah, the gunmetal's on my camera mount over there, which you can't see. Yeah, that's the gunmetal. It's not black. It just prints. I've used, what have I used from them now? Gunmetal, white, black, blue. I had some rose gold. Oh, wood. I did all my roots in wood. You should have seen those videos, or you can go back and look. Those were all by ZYL Tech. The filament just works. But this is not an infomercial about the filament. Like I said, they're not sponsoring me, even though I would love them to. It's not like I don't print anything. I think I'm buying a 8-pack from them just about every other month, if not every month. Well, probably every other month. I probably go through a roll of filament a week. Holy cow! Never really thought of that till now. Yeah, about a roll of filament a week, 1 kilogram. Yes, I could definitely run their 5 kilogram or even their 3 kilogram or 5. You can see how my reels are set up over on the CR-6 SE. And then over here on the Chiron, it's kind of hidden. But yeah, there's plenty of room. I can probably put, well, width-wise, probably the 5 kilograms the biggest I could go. Diameter-wise, I probably have room for a 10, but then again, I don't know if it can actually handle the weight on those arms. And the ones work just fine for me. I don't think I've ever used a full, well, one or two prints I've done, I've used a full roll and then some. I don't have any issues pausing and putting filament in. My printers are set up pretty damn good. The only thing I have to do when I put the new roll of filament in the middle of a print, or at the end of a print, wherever I may be, is I just have to push out a little bit extra to make sure it's extruding, use a pair of tweezers, clean it off, and then resume. You can't tell that I've paused and changed filament. Actually, I take that back. I actually have one right here. Let me move this out of the way. It's on the other axle. I actually just did it last night. I switched from the black to the white. And other than the color, I mean, it looks like there's a line, but other than the color, you can't tell I switched. I mean, if it was the same color filament, there's no seam, no line. Pretty much, I mean, you can't tell. If I were to paint them, you'd have no clue. If it was the same black color, you'd have no idea. So, I don't really need bigger rolls. I think the 1 kilograms probably work best, for me at least. And I can't speak for everyone, of course. I just want to do a little update. I'm printing them. Actually, once those are printed, we're ready to test the tank, which is hiding over here behind the trash can. Trust me, he's right there. But once I get these printed, get it mounted, get them glued in and then screwed in, it won't be done by any means, but I can actually have a functional where I can drive it and test it, make sure all that stuff's good. And then I can start printing the case to hold the speed controller, the batteries, the transmitter, actually be the receiver, wouldn't it? And whatever else I might end up throwing on there. So just a heads up as to where we are at the moment. Thank you.